All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to a next episode of Web's Webinar Wednesday. Today, we are going to talk about how to save your trade show season because it are dynamic times during COVID-19 and a lot of trade shows are canceled or postponed. So let's discuss with one of our customer experience consultants, Etiënne Lof, today how we can save our trade show season in these challenging times. Before we dig in, my name is Thijs van Rosmalen. I am Business Development Manager at Webs. I will be your host for this webinar, and I will do a short introduction on what we see during these times. But before we dig in, I have some rules I can explain to you. Some people are new. Some people are weekly visitors. Thank you for that. But you are all on mute for now. Once you are on mute, you can ask your questions in the chat pane because I will monitor all your questions and make sure that Etiënne and I will answer them either in this webinar or short after that if we don't have enough time for that. So your chat pane will be your biggest friend during this webinar. The past weeks, there was a lot was changing. I saw all of these kind of headlines when I was searching online. So there were like hundreds of trade shows canceled. EBC News was talking about a trade show blues. A lot is happening, and it's even bad for people who manage and host all those trade shows, but it's also bad for us operating in B2B sales or marketing because we need those trade shows. We are using those trade shows to generate some leads, to fill our pipeline. So a lot is happening. Even the Hannover Messe, one of the biggest manufacturing trade shows in Europe, will be back next year. But on the other hand, if I start looking a little bit closer and further on the internet again, what's also changing in the past weeks is those kind of headlines. So COVID-19 pushes up internet use by 70%. The coronavirus lockdown is making the internet stronger than ever. The virus changed the way we use internet. Coronavirus transforms the usage of the peak internet usage into the new normal. So there is a lot happening offline and online as well. So take a look at Italy, for example, where in Europe the whole COVID-19 starts. Since the week of COVID-19, internet traffic rises a lot. If you take a look at the States, one of the biggest countries, of course, you see there is upcoming internet traffic since the corona outbreak. So even worldwide, a lot of things are moving from offline to online because we're all working on remote, searching for ways to stay in contact with our new or existing customer base. We are going online. And what doesn't change or what didn't change the past weeks is the behavior of that future customer base. They all search in the same way still. They are using all kind of tools, all kind of devices, all kind of channels in order to inform themselves into a purchase. They do it themselves, online, offline, and they don't use us as salespeople, at least not the first 70% of their buying cycle. As Gartner showed, recent research of Gartner shows us how people are using their research in order to make a purchase. You see that only 17% is used by a meeting with potential suppliers. So 70% of B2B buyers states that their latest purchase was very difficult and very complex. So what's happening here? They can't talk to us offline, they go online, they find their purchases difficult, but they don't use us enough in order to make that purchase, to inform them. In my opinion, we should change that and help them in their purchases. Help them instead of sell to them. make sure that we will make these purchases less complex and less difficult by informing them online. So in the chat pane, I would like to ask everybody in this webinar, in your opinion, how digital is B2B nowadays? Rate from 1, I don't know what digital is, into 10, we are digital elites. I see a 7 coming in. I was very happy with a 7 at school. An 8, a 7, a 7, an 8, 8, a lot of 8s, that's great. Give everybody a couple seconds to answer. 6 to 7, some people are doubting a bit. A 9 even, that's great. So we think we are quite digital already. I agree. Some people are challenging a 5 to 6. We can do smarter things, and that's what we talk about today. This is a metaphor I want to use to explain and to introduce Etiënne in a bit. This is what we know and what we see a lot in B2B. These great trade shows. What is happening at a trade show? Take a look at this picture closely. You see on the left side, you see a screen. It will probably show a product demo video or something about the company story or something like that. You see on the right side, I hope it's a visitor or maybe the sales director who is putting all the offers he made into his computer. But salespeople is aligned in the booth. They're standing there and they want to talk to people who are passing this booth. So interaction is possible. Sales is ready. People are entering this exhibition because they want information. Nothing new. Take this metaphor into consideration. What happens in between if marketing and sales should work together? This is a great picture to show in a trade show the cooperation between marketing and sales. I'll let you decide who is marketing and who is sales in this picture. But the thing is, marketing will enable sales on the trade show. They will make sure that everything is aligned. They will make sure that they can tell their story, that they talk to the right visitors. They supply sales over here. And sales will be there, aligned, nice same ties, ready to talk to customers. But they don't know who is coming. They don't know how far that person will be in their buying cycle. They don't know actually anything. They just stand there and wait in order to get some leads. If you take that metaphor in consideration and looking to your online landscape, please keep in mind that also today, your online landscape is your #1 marketing instrument and your #1 sales employee. So make sure that you don't stand with your back towards your future customers. Make sure that online you will be open, welcome your future customers, and make sure that they can interact with you on every channel online. The past weeks, things happening between COVID or during COVID. For example, take a look at your sales colleagues within your organization. The outside salespeople turned into inside salespeople overnight. So actually, they need to learn inbound sales techniques and need the tools to execute this. So when I'm thinking of this, please ask yourself and think of this. How are they spending their precious time when face-to-face meetings are canceled? Are they sitting at home doing nothing or working on internal processes instead of being out there and making sure that they work on their pipeline? Are they enabled enough to continue their pipeline on remote? Companies must go more online these days and not less, because face-to-face interaction is going to dwindle, and it's going to be crucial for companies to have an online presence to be able to win and maintain relationships with your customers. And of course, your prospects. It's your existing client base and your future customers all together. So again, ask yourself here, how are you performing online? Do you have all the insights to determine if you perform online well enough? I see all 7 and 8s in the chat pane. Based on what? On the results? On that your branding is well enough? How do you investigate the gaps and do you know how to close these? Are you blind? Are there blind spots maybe? And what's your budget for online? Now nobody is traveling and face-to-face sales meetings are canceled. So think of all these questions regarding this solution to save your trade shows online. So again, what's your mindset in these challenging times? You can have, in our opinion, 3 types of mindsets. Think of this. Are you a survivor with your business? Try to survive this crisis. Are you willing to adapt, to make changes in order to still continue your business? Or are you even growing? Some businesses are growing. We are using Zoom. Again, I only see Zoom 9 times a day. So that's a company who is actually growing in these challenging times, of course. So saying this, survive, adapt, or grow. This could be an opportunity to force an adaptation that should have already happened. Think of this. This could be an opportunity within your organization to force an adaptation that should have already happened. Saying this, Etienne, I would like to introduce you. How can we save our trade show season? You are a customer experience consultant. You are working on virtual exhibition stands. So please help us. How can we save our trade show season?
Thanks, Thijs. Yeah, I can answer that. At Webs, I'm a HubSpot customer experience consultant. So I help companies digitize their customer experience at their customer-facing teams, from marketing, sales to service. And from that function, I know some things about websites also. Today, we talk about how to save your trade show season. All the trade shows, conferences, events are canceled. So there's little chance to meet our prospects in person. To me, the answer, of course, is simple. Invest in your virtual exhibition stand, your website. Where in 2019, you can go to trade shows and fairs. Nowadays, your website is your new exhibition stand. I also like this comparison that is made by our managing director, Emil Kanters, where it shows that on an exhibition or a trade show, you can have up to 400 visitors on your stand and maybe collect 30 business cards, where with a fraction of that investment with your website, you can generate up to, for example, 80,000 visitors and have 2,400 leads from that. So think about that, how you can manage to get that contact with people with a fraction of your budget. Because the website is pretty much the same as your exhibition stand. Like, the website is the first place people go to learn if your products or services can help them solve their business challenge. And that's also what you're seeing nowadays. HubSpot keeps a nice COVID-19 benchmark, and they also see that customers are interacting more with businesses than a year ago, but also within the last few months, the interaction, the engagement with the 70,000 HubSpot customers at their websites is up with a 13%. So that significantly grow in interaction with companies. A nice fact to highlight is that in our landscape, right, landscape of our B2B buyers, that 90% of them use search to do their research for their business purchases. And within that search, only 60% consider only 1 or 2 companies before reaching out to a potential vendor. So think about that. They're doing their research online, they're making a list of companies, and they're already making a selection on who they are going to approach. And in that research journey, only 75% of those B2B buyers will visit your website only once. Think about that. You get one shot, one opportunity to establish a good first impression. So basically, you have, and so how do you make that good one first impression? It's by a simple, straightforward answer: having a great content and having a great user experience. So this is from a big research that Google did with Millward Brown, and they found out that that was basically the ground rule for making that first good impression and get that engagement from your visitors on your website. So what defines great content? Great content is relevant information in the right context. So if content is king, then context is queen. So people can enter your website in different stages of their buyer journey, from awareness, consideration, decision. So make sure that your information, that you have information in all those different phases, and make sure that it's easily found on the website for customers to read and to engage on. So basically, having that content for attracting and engaging your visitors in the right context is the foundation of HubSpot. And that's set in the inbound method, which is a method to grow your business that's basically on providing value and building trust. So sharing your knowledge based upon the phase of the buyer journey of your customers. So there is a nice upside for all that content that you're generating and that knowledge that you are developing. Like Thijs already said, 77% of B2B buyers find their business purchase quite complex. And it's also noticeable with Google. Google see that B2B buyers have a very long B2B search journey. It will take up to 12 search queries, so 12 searches among the search engines, videos, reviews, fora, to actively engage with a brand website. So think of that. There are a lot of opportunities to get your content visible and noticed to your website, to potential visitors to these different channels. So 75% will only visit your website once. So you have one opportunity to create that good first impression by having great content and having a great website user experience. I want to highlight a few elements of those having a good website user experience. That it's possible to have a useful website user experience. It should be intuitive. Your website should be accessible, and of course, think of a appealing design for your website. And overall, to generate that good, positive experience. A website with a useful user experience is where a visitor, of course, can find the information that it needs that help them move their buyer journey. So think of the goals that your user have by conducting, of course, a setup of their buying journeys, but also think of what are my different buyer personas and what are their challenges in that different stages of the buyer journey. Of course, you can also talk to your customers, do customer surveys, ask user feedback via your website, or use heat mapping software, just like Vostermans, for example, did with their setting up with their new website. They were also thinking of how the user experience should be, and they found out that people really want to have a clear understanding how to get in contact with a specialist in their segment. With these small changes, by actually knowing what your customer wants, they realized a 3 times more contact requests with the same number of visitors, just by thinking outside in on what your customer is looking for in information. An intuitive website user experience, that's the second key element of great user experience, is to enable visitors to understand the purpose of a page at a quick glance. So don't keep it with less frustration, keep it smooth and intuitive so that if people land on a website, they immediately know what the purpose and intent of that page is. I have here a small example of an old page. You see quite a lot of information. There are some icons at the top. there is a description on the left. I can download a instruction manual on the right, and with a little structure and singling out that the single purpose of the page, we made this new setup, because basically the purpose of this old page was to show the different sports that this product can be used for. And I hope that you have the same experience as me right now. If I enter this page, it's very clear to me there is a product which I can use for different kinds of sports. So make it so it's easy to get that purpose of the page. A great user experience also needs the element of accessibility. So it needs to be easily find, let visitors easily find relevant information by creating a good navigation menu. A good navigation menu gives structure to your website and make people give a good oversight of the information that is there on the website. So a little example here from an old website where the description of the navigation is on the left, and in the new website we placed it on top, also to be familiar with the places that people expect it to be. Another example from our client Bronsweg heat transfer, where you can find elements on the top, on the left, and even at the bottom. And nowadays we made it more intuitive and easy and accessible by placing the navigation at the top. Think of core elements that we want to address. On the left, the company items like their services and products on industries, expertise, and products. And on the right, with all the company links. So you can even make a visual shift with that. And of course, a great user experience is also appealing. Like with everything in life, it's also good to have a nice design, a nice design. So because people actually think that of its shows off a high quality. The elements to make a appealing website user experience is by using white space, adding a visual elements, keeping your design simple, and focus on a single goal. I want to highlight these few elements. For example, this is the old website of our client, Transport Safe. There's quite a lot of information there, and what we did is that we applied those four key elements of a appealing design. First, by adding white space. White space is implementing empty space to emphasize the message that you want to, or the content that you want to get the attention on from your visitors. This way you can attract their attention to that, what you want to say. Also, add a visual element. So in the back, we add a picture of the industries that they supply a lot, to also give that context of that content. And keep your design simple. Here you see only a navigation at the top, a header and with a header, and then a box with a case study. Also in colors, it's very easy. It's just blue, white, and green. And the last four, the key element I want to highlight is the single goal. Of course, the navigation is by switching to the different pages. The header is just there we want to say, there we want to emphasize our single sentence benefit for our customers. And in the bottom, or in the next section, we have a single goal, and that's redirecting people to the case study. So the purpose of each row is very clear and focused. So by having great content, having great user experience, for you can engage visitors or you provide a good website user experience. By having that great content, you attract visitors to your website by being visible in search. And by having a good user experience, you engage them on your website with a thoughtful content and design, and eventually turn them into customers. That's also the basis of the HubSpot inbound methodology, where you convert strangers from prospect to customers and promoters via attracting with great content, engaging with the content on your website and good user experience, and turn them into customers. So with your website, just like your exhibition stand, you're looking to build a high-performing website, aka your sales machine, because of course it's your number one salesperson that's 24/7 active to convert your prospects to potential leads and customers. So what can you expect from that virtual exhibition stand in business growth? This is a benchmark HubSpot did based on their 68,000 HubSpot licenses. And they see an average conversion from traffic to lead from 1 to 3%, and from lead to customer from 3 to 5%. So if you have, for example, 2,400 visitors a month, it can generate you can expect up to 72 leads and 3.6 customers. So think about that. If you do your 3.6 customers times your average revenues, order revenue, then you know what the return on investment is from your website. But don't see it as a one-off project. Building a great user experience with great content, it's a long distance run, not a sprint. So also make sure to approach your next investment in your virtual exhibition stand on that way. Don't see your website as a one-off impactful project. And most of the times we launch a website, we keep it there, it's there for 3-4 years, and then we say, okay, we need another website because it's old and we need to update it. Most of the time it's a long and frustrating process, which can take up to 4 to 10 months. And it creates a lot of frustration and risk. So instead of that, next time, continuously improve your website. Launch a first version, and then with quarterly summits and quarterly teams, try to update your website on that content, on the user experience, and also from a design and development standpoint. That way you get a way more easier project, and it's way more easier to update, keep it up to date, and even lower the cost of continuing to build that great website user experience. So I want to keep it also very practical for you today. So I would like to share a few tactics to build your high-performing sales machine, aka your website. Tactic 7, because there's a long list of tactics, is use outcome selling instead of future selling. With outcome selling, the whole idea is don't sell your product, sell the best possible outcome that a customer can get from using your product. In that way, you show your visitor that you understand their bigger goal, how they can succeed, before you talking about future solution services, so that you know what the context is of their search. For example, Intercom, they could say we're the #1 messaging platform for businesses. No, they understand that their customers are looking for better customer relationships. Or again, TranspoSafe, our client, they can say that they specialize in sealing and securing valuable goods. Instead of that, they know that people with their products are looking to be trustworthy to their suppliers. So they emphasize and communicate on that fact. Use outcome selling instead of future selling. Tactic 13 also for having a good user experience is by telling your story in titles. Like most people, if I enter a website, I start scrolling and to get a glance of the website and see what is there. And what this example does good is that you see all titles on with each content section. So if I line up the titles from that homepage beneath each other, so only the titles, it tells the whole story of this product. Where the customer relationships start here. 30,000 companies use Intercom for growth, the #1 business messenger for you and your customers. And it's even that good that if you provide, if you add single words to that titles, you get a very readable story. You can use Intercom to drive growth at every stage of the customer lifecycle, and it helps you move deals through your funnel fast. Precision targeted engagement at scale, and so on and so on. So by scrolling the page and having your story straight on from that structure, you help people to understand the context of your content, and also get a better grip on what your products can help them with. Number 18, launch a why page. A why page is the first item in your navigation menu. It's before you start talking about your products, services, or solutions. So where your home page is the elevator pitch, and your product or service page is your entrance to in-depth information, the why page is an overall introduction with benefits and argument. So it lives in between. It helps you smoothen the transition. For example, here she is some examples from MailChimp or Slack. Slack is saying before they're talking about solutions, how it works or how it replaces email. Or like another client from us, Oxycom, before they are talking about solutions, they emphasize the fact on why you should consider a cooling solution that is built upon a different kind of technique. The why page helps your customer grasp the A to Z of their quest, because the information that you're sharing there is starting from awareness and going to a consideration and decision. So you present the total landscape of arguments for your product or service. So it helps you them also collecting the right arguments, what to consider when making a choice. You help people to think about all the aspects of the main benefit of your product or service that you're providing, so that they understand the total landscape of their journey. And it provides a starting point. It can smoothen the website journey. In that journey, because of the elevator pitch, the in-depth information, you always have a why page acting like an overall page with benefits and arguments that help them understand the total landscape of their business challenge. Everything is a remix. What I mean by that is that you should not invent the wheel, right along with innovation teams of the best and brightest. What I like to do is I like to analyze, watch, and learn from SaaS companies. Why? They tend to make it personal, they tend to make it human, and they're highly focused on conversion, because they need to convert their customers online for using their product. A few nice examples are Intercom, MailChimp, Slack, Stripe, and Bounce, Drift, ChargeBee, and Typeform. Really take a look at that on how they have set up their virtual exhibition stand in attracting, engaging, and converting their prospects to leads and customers. Last but not least, I want to say that the website examples are made that we showed from our company are all made by the HubSpot CMS. And that's the CMS that's built for for the professional marketeer who wants to be flexible and self-reliant without gatekeepers and without IT. So where traditional CMSs are built from a technical standpoint, the CMS Hub gives you the possibility to be self-reliant and self-supporting in providing and publishing pages with your content and making that user experience better. That being said, take a look at the G2 where you can see how the other users of HubSpot think of the tool. And this is a full list of the possibilities and features that HubSpot CMS Hub provides you. Thijs, back to you.
Right, thanks. I have some questions because I was thinking those features are great, but before we dig into features, in your opinion, Etienne, can you replace online for offline, or should it strengthen each other? Like, is it more like an accelerator on your existing marketing and sales approach?
I should combine it. You should not replace your offline, but use your online, your CMS, your CRM as a tool to get that insight on customer data. So for example, if you have an offline event, make sure that people register in your CRM so that you can actually see later on what that engagement is on their website, so that you can see which people you have found during offline events, maybe in the future, and know how they convert later on your website, so that you can make a total overview of the conversion of offline events.
Yeah. Okay. And that ease of use, because we made some time reservation from some questions, but until now there are not that many questions. So maybe we could use that time a little bit. Could you show us some of that ease of use of the technique you use for the website?
Of course. For example, here you see the HubSpot CMS, and I have made a live demo on how to make your own pages within the HubSpot CMS.
So this is blank.
This is blank, the way we set it up.
Template.
It's a blank template, and we give you the building blocks of a website. So we saw some few examples where we had a site navigation, we had a header, we had a call to action section, and all those building blocks of a website, we make them independent of each other, so that you, as a marketer, are self-reliant and flexible in setting up your website and your website pages. Because in the end, you will know best what content is engaging the best with your visitors and how to convert them into taking action to your company. So for example, you've now seen how I've added 4 modules, and with a very easy drag and drop editor, and this way you can set up the page to your own insights and see it in a live example.
Yeah, so what you're saying is actually you can offer a marketing and sales team the building blocks within HubSpot CMS, and you build some standard templates with it, but it also enables the team to make more templates in different combination of each building block. Am I right?
Yeah, because like we said here, you don't want a rigid system where you're depending on IT or other gatekeepers or business investments that need to, or more investments that need to make. We give you those loose modules so that you can build up the pages through your own insights and with the elements that you think that it's best. And in first, of course, we help you set up those pages, We think of a buyer journey that, from our experience, will contribute to the growth and by generating more leads. But after releasing version 1 website, you should look at your customer data that is coming from your website within HubSpot, and use that customer data to optimize the experience on your website. And therefore, it can mean that you need to adjust pages, or you need to have a different setup of your content, and you have all the flexibility with the CMS hub there to do that to your own insights.
So if HubSpot shows you, I noticed, and correct me if I'm wrong, that 2% you said was like a benchmark percentage from visitor to lead, right?
Yeah, so there are.
Okay, so
I think,
wait 1 second, because then HubSpot shows you, for example, when the percentage is like 2%, but you manage that, but the number of visitors is not even 800, for example. You can think of tactics of getting your visitors, getting more visitors, instead of using tactics on getting a better conversion rate.
Yeah, you can take a look at that. So,
Yeah.
for example, you can emphasize on getting a better user experience. So, for example, the Vosselmans example, we didn't focus on getting more visitors, but we focused on getting the user goals better there and providing that in a good user experience, in a good website experience. So by restructuring their website, their content, placing it in better context, we saw a rise from three times more contact requests based on the same number of visitors. So you can also look at ways to make that user experience better, or at the front with great content, because if you have great content, you know what your visitors are looking for. So you end up better in the searches. So you will attract more visitors. You can also work on the top of your funnel and attract more visitors.
Okay.
So based on this benchmark, you can always see how you're performing with the other HubSpot users.
Okay. So it helps you, the building blocks help you, you set it up, and it helps you to grow your website and adjust your website in terms of customer success regarding your business objectives. And you don't need any development or designers, or you don't need to ask for furthermore big investments in order to continuously improve that via the HubSpot CMS, right?
No. So all the elements, all the modules are already in your company style. They're having the options that you would like to see in order to variate your setup of the pages, and therefore you can always adapt to your customers and have a constant optimization of your website.
Okay, and last question from my side. I don't know if you can say a little bit about it, because I noticed a lot of questions about it all the time. What about HubSpot in terms of security of your website, and together with worldwide performance?
Yeah, they so the CMS is for professional marketers. So HubSpot takes care of all the technical stuff for you. So security, and also your website is hosted on a content delivery network on a single centralized location. And there they have their firewall set up and are doing the security checks, and also for defending against virus attacks, and yeah, so it's centralized by HubSpot.
Okay. There are no more questions in the chat pane, Etiënne. So I would like to wrap this up for this morning. Not before I clarify the other episodes who are coming, because we have one more episode, especially focusing on the CMS, like the Luke Summerfield, head of development of HubSpot, will talk technically through the whole HubSpot CMS. That's in a couple of weeks from now. But in the meantime, we also have other episodes coming up. For example, next week, we have Yaniv from our friends at Vidyard. He will talk about how salespeople can use another tactic than the website in their sales process. He will tell you how to use video in your sales process to make sure you get that engagement with your future customers while you are working on remote. So that was next week. In the meantime, I would like to offer everybody who is joining this webinar, if you want to have an audit on your existing website, you could reach out to us. You will get the recording of this webinar and our contact details. So please reach out to us if you would like to talk in more detail about your specific situation and try to see where the gaps are. Because if we make those kind of audits, you will have a pretty a good insight on what the improvements can be, and we can help you present that to your management team or your board. Because yeah, again, like my introduction was telling, what kind of mindset do you have these days? Are you a survivor? Are you willing to adapt these changes? Etienne, I would like to thank you very much. Good to have you on this webinar, and thank you very much for your expertise. And I want at last, thank everybody for joining. See you next week on the Wednesday morning for another edition of Web's Webinar Wednesday. Take care, everybody, and see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.